Never met Kiss?
No.
This is Mr. Russ Ballard, the songwriter musician best known for penning the iconic Anthem tune, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, which has become a staple song for the rock band Kiss. Often, when you go to a Kiss concert, you might be hearing this song when you're leaving the arena. There's a message behind the song. Kiss is retiring, but the music lives on forever. Today, we're going to discuss the meaning behind God Gave Rock and Roll to You. Make sure you subscribe, put your comments down below, and put your hands together for Mr. Russ Ballard. It all starts now on your ultimate intimate conversation with your favorite artist on Artist on Record. Where did that song come from and who's it about?
I wrote that there on the piano too. It sounds like a guitar tune. I wrote that on the piano because you can find some good chords. You know, some chords on the piano I can't find when I'm playing the guitar because you can't have your hand down here and your hand up there. So with the piano, you can have the bass, which is great on a Steinway, and you can play up there and further up and get some good chords going. My mother, I think, was religious. Well, I know she was religious. She could quote a piece of the Bible any time at all, and you should have a quote for anything. I wasn't particularly religious, but I used to pick a lot up from her, and I love gospel music. I always loved that. So I went to a Baptist church when I was young, and I was thrown out of that because I was only about 4, throwing my gloves around. I remember doing that, and I wasn't interested in what they were talking about, but. My mum used to say, I look back, one of the things she was like, well, God gave that to you. God gave that to you, or whatever. I remember her saying it, and I thought, God gave rock and roll. She must have said God gave rock and roll to me, I think, but she used to say, God gave him that.
So there's a story behind the God Save Rock and Roll. It's more than just an anthem song. It's a spiritual song for you. Basically.
It is spiritual, you know. I always loved gospel music. I used to listen to the Black Nativity, Alex Bradford, those sort of things.
There's a lyric in there to Cliff Richard.
That's my original. It was meant to be funny. Yeah, it's just that I wanted to make it. I always sing about love, you know. Love your friend. I wrote, love your friend, love your neighbor. This is mine. They had a much better lyric for a rock song. Picking up a guitar, and you get out there and do it, which is fantastic. You know, I wrote, love your friend, love your neighbor, love your life, and love your labor. Because that's apparently what Jesus said, or what prophets say. They say that, love your friend, love your neighbor, love your... Well, what Jesus said, love your friend, love your neighbor, love your life, love your labor. It's never too late to change your mind. Don't step on snails. Don't climb in trees. Love Cliff Richard, but please don't tease. He had a #1 single called Please Don't Tease. His #1 single was Please Don't Tease. So I wrote that, and I thought it was meant to be funny. And Cliff was into Jesus, or God, he was into church anyway, wasn't he? So that's why I wrote it. It was meant to be play on words, funny. You know?
Yeah.
It came out with the right lyric. That first verse was perfect for the song. I don't always sing about love, but I made an album called The Book of Love, which is it wasn't released in the States. It wasn't released in the UK, but it was a thing I had to do, Stefan. I just had to do it because I think about it all the time, about the world, the situation, and how we are to each other. And there's still a war, and there's still a war, and still a war. There's been a war documented for the last 3,000 years, every year for 3,000 years. And it's still going on. And is there any psychological evolution in a human being? Because we're having the same wars again. You know, we can do all this, we can do that. We're still unhappy. We still don't look after each other. And in 2005, I thought, I've got to do this. I've got to make this album. And it was a labor of love, you know. It was my labor of love.
Have you ever met Kiss?
Never met them.
You never met Kiss?
No.
No way.
We played together. We played 2 shows, at least 2 shows together. We played at the Academy of Music in New York.
So in the Brooklyn Academy of Music?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
played there. We played there with them. Lee Michaels, I think, was on. Wishbone Ash.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
They were on as well. But Kiss were just setting up. They were doing a sound check when we arrived, because we had Hold Your Head Up at the time. We had that out, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we arrived and they were setting up, you know. Of course, they didn't have any schlap on or anything, no makeup or anything, you know. So, and it looked interesting because they had the logo behind the sort of neon sign behind Kiss. And they had like the rostrum, drum rostrum and stuff. And it looked very interesting. So in the evening, we weren't prepared for to see all the makeup and stuff. And they stood about 8 feet high, you know. Well, it seemed like 8 feet high. Because they got the soles and the heels on the things. They would look very big. So yeah, but we didn't speak, which is crazy. You know, we didn't speak.
But you know what? It kind of all fits the song itself. Now, when people are walking out, like your meaning of it, don't, you know, love thy neighbor, basically. And when people are leaving a Kiss show, it's like walking out. You just saw this great rock and roll show. Now everybody love each other and be kind and let's have a great.
Yeah. Well, I say that on the stage a lot. You know, you say things. You say there's plenty of stuff you can say. You know, you look after each other and be the change that you want to see in the world. You have to be the change that you want to see in the world. We all want to see a change. You be the change that you want to see. It takes courage, but the moment one commits oneself, then providence moves too, right? You know, it's what I was saying earlier. You know, you do it. It takes courage to do it, but you know, we are what we are. We can be. We can be something different as well. We are many different people. I tell you, with breathing, it makes us a lot more sane and a lot friendlier. God gave rock and roll to you. Gave rock and roll.
Sergeant, and God gave rock and roll to you.
That was Mr. Russ Ballard. You can catch all our episodes right here in our members only. Join today and make sure you subscribe, hit the bell to be notified, put your comments down below, and click on the box that pops up here. Who loves you, baby? We do. We'll catch you all later.